Why you don't understand?
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on the silver screen. Come grab a seat, the popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hey there. Welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel Thomas Manning II. In case you didn't know, if you thought, now some of you out there thought it was Tiberius, and I will have to admit that I did tell some people years ago that it was Tiberius just because it was fun. So there are a few of you out there that actually call me Tiberius, and now you know the truth. It is Thomas. Noel Thomas Manning II here, along with, who is this with me?
This is Tiberius Manning III. No relation either. So, yeah. I know some people might come in and be a little bit confused by that, but I just want to set the record clear. My name is Tiberius Manning III, and I'm not related to the man who used to be known as Noel Tiberius Manning III. So,
yeah, the man formerly known as Tiberius. So,
yes.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us right here as we talk cinema on Meet Me at the Movies. Thomas, you got a chance to have an interview with some cast members for the new AMC Silicon Valley satire called The Audacity. And you had the audacity to say, hey, can I take over the first half of this show? I'm like, sure. That gives me less that I have to do. So, Thomas, tell me about the series and about who we're going to be talking to today.
Yes, so The Audacity is created by Jonathan Glatzer, who you may know from his work on Succession and Better Call Saul, two of the most prominent, influential shows of the past decade. And this has a phenomenal cast starring reel-to-reel alumni Billy Magnuson. He is the front man here, and then everybody else from Sarah Goldberg to Zach Galifianakis, Simon Helberg from Big.
Say that name.
Zach Galifianakis from
Gesundheit.
right up the road in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, representing. So in this conversation, I got to speak in a press conference with some of the supporting cast, including Paul Adelstein, who is a character actor who has been in hundreds of things over the years, and then a young trio of actors, including Critics' Choice nominee Everett Blunk, who was nominated for his work last year in The Plague, as well as Ava Marie Talek and Tylee Roberge. And so we get into a few different things during the press conference, but first I'll just give a little bit more on The Audacity itself. This show is quite brutal. It shows you that the world of Silicon Valley is a dog-eat-dog world, and these dogs are out for blood, that's for sure. I think Billy Magnuson, he has some major star power here. He's this guy who's haunted by some bad choices in his past, specifically choices that he made in a friendship, but he refuses to reckon with that. He knows that things that he's done, might have led to tragedy, and he's struggling with that internally, but he just keeps continuing to push it down or fill that void with, something by feeding on others, essentially. His drug of choice is denial, and he thinks that if he just keeps forging ahead, and ignoring this pain that is a consequence of his own actions, then hey, maybe he can just reach the pinnacle and be immune to any more pain. And we know how those cycles work. So that is what this series is exploring. And it's you can watch it Sunday nights on AMC, and then streams on AMC Plus as well. And at the time we're recording this, and at the time you're going to be watching the show, it is the season is up and coming, or excuse me, it is up and rolling, and then it has already been renewed for a second season as well. So that is The Audacity on AMC, and looking forward to sharing some quotes from the cast in this interview clip you'll see here.
Yeah, so Thomas, is this about cannibalism? Because you said he feeds on others. Are we going to see some cannibalism here?
Well, I haven't finished the season yet. I'm halfway through the season, but never say never. You never know what could happen, especially in a Jonathan Glatzer written series. So,
So, anything else you want to make sure you share leading into the interviews?
I think in similarly to a lot of the series that Glatzer has worked with, um, I feel like every actor is just specifically tuned to that role. You look at who they're playing, and you can't imagine anybody else playing that character. It's just like almost immediately iconic in a way, and I think that's a unique strength of the characters that Jonathan Glatzer creates and oversees. And I think that this is a series that might be I don't know if it'll be spoken about quite in the same breath as Succession in years to come, but it will be, I think a crucial part of what Glatzer has created for his body of work.
Okay, Thomas. So I know you want to pitch it to one of the interviews. I'll let you take it away from here, and then we'll come back. And I think we've got another one after that as well.
Yeah, so in this clip, you'll see me deliver a couple questions to Paul Adelstein, and his character is one of the few, morally consistent guys in this series. A guy that you actually wouldn't mind sitting down and having a coffee with, which is not something you can say for most of the other characters. So, it was nice to talk with him. And of course, I'm not saying that all the other actors are like exactly like their characters in the show, but it was nice to talk to a guy who I'm like, oh, you're actually playing not a scummy person in this series too. So, so yeah, I'll pitch it to Paul Adelstein. Hey, Paul, it's good to be talking with you today.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. Great to chat with you. I'd like to ask about some of the physical traits that Gary has as a character and what that gives to you as an actor. Obviously, over the years, you've played many roles with a wide range of facial hair features, but
Yep.
your beard is so prominent as part of Gary's character here. Along with his wardrobe, he's almost always wearing a quarter zip sweater over a button-up
Yeah.
shirt.
Yeah.
So I was curious how those physical extensions of your character have helped you figure out your way into who he is.
Yeah, the beard, I had the beard for the audition. It was much smaller. And when I got cast, I was just like, I'm just gonna grow it out till I get up there to Canada, to Vancouver, and we'll figure out how big or little. And Jonathan loved it at a large size, and I did too. And I thought, the guy's he's a bit of a throwback, and he wants to be a little bit of a throwback. He doesn't really, he writes his book, he probably writes it by hand. He doesn't really understand the technology at all. He doesn't really care to. He likes being professorial. He likes, dressing like a Tweety professor and having the big beard like a serious psychiatrist would. So he's playing the part of the man he kind of wants to be. As an actor, I'll tell you that beard does a lot of work for me, which is great because you put those clothes on, you look in the mirror, and you're like, well, that's Gary. There he is. I will also tell you that the sets we shoot on the house were very hot, which makes wearing like a flannel shirt and a sweater challenging. So Gary's sweating a lot, but I just kind of made that part of what Gary was up to.
Yeah, so a theme that keeps coming up with your character is the concept of empathy. So I'm curious about, how that correlates to what you do as an actor and how Gary uses empathy in his profession as compared to how Paul the actor uses empathy, if there's anything you can speak to on that front.
Yeah, I think that as an actor, most of us are it's kind of built in, and we're just kind of empaths. I think part of putting yourself in someone else's skin or finding the place in someone else that overlaps with something in you takes a certain amount of empathy, just by definition. In Gary's life, I think it's good to be empathetic if you're a psychologist, you're dealing with taking care of people's mental health. I don't think it's required. I think you can do a technical job without necessarily being that empathetic. I think I've seen it before. But I think given the extremity of what's going on in Silicon Valley, the conversation he has with Joanne in episode 2, which about Duncan, which is everybody deserves therapy, rich or poor. He really believes that. And that is an empathetic position. That is a position of no matter how rich you are, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how unethical you are, you still deserve, you know, to take care of your mental health, and that it's important and it's valuable. I think Gary's having a harder time believing that than he used to, and I think you're seeing his empathy starting to wear a little thin. But that's what makes it fun drama, right? Seeing people, you want to come in on the story when people are right at the end of their ropes to see what happens.
Thomas, appreciate you sharing that. And so Paul does not play one of the cannibals in the movie, the series, The Audacity, correct?
Not in this one. And once again, not confirming or denying that there are cannibals in this series, but just saying haven't finished the season yet. So
Who else do you have lined up, man?
yeah, so this is the trio of young actors who were all grouped together: Everett Blunk, Ava Marie Tellick, and Tylee Robers. And these are all, when I say young actors, they're like between 16 and 20 years old. But I think they've already got it. I think they're going to be names that we're going to be hearing for years to come. And one of my questions, I kind of asked them specifically about the parents that they're working with on the show, or the actors who play their parents. And so it was interesting to hear their perspective on that, and especially the Simon Helberg connection. One of them talks about growing up watching The Big Bang Theory. So yeah, I'll pitch it over to that and let that speak for itself. Hey, it's good to speak with you all. I have a question that I'll send to all three of y'all. So each of you have a set of parents or step parents in the show, played by actors who have been around and doing this for decades. And although your characters don't have the best relationships with your parents in the show, I'm curious what you all glean from working with the actors playing them. Is there anything specifically that comes to mind for each of you that you learned from the actors playing your parents?
I mean, I think that working with this many talents is insane. Not just our parents on the show, but everyone on the show, even you guys. Like, I've learned stuff from. For me, Billy and Lucy, they're so fantastic, and seeing how they work and all that stuff was amazing. Billy gave me like a little tip on my lines because he has so much to memorize. I was like mesmerized with how he did that. So I have a new trick, which is 7 days before you look at this script for 7 days coming, and then you look at that. Yeah. Wow. Like 1 week in advance, and like you do that for every day. So if you have a 5-day week, you're set. Damn. And Lucy, I mean, she's just incredible. Like I mean, I learned so much. She's a comedy genius. So all of that, I tried my best to take it in. You guys can speak on your experience.
I mean, Simon and Megan they're so much fun to work with. And Simon, for me, like, my dad loves The Big Bang Theory, so I've grown up watching him ever since I was little, and getting to learn from him now and working with him, it was so incredible. And Megan, just her attitude on set, and I just watching everybody and learning from them, not even from what they tell us. It's just, me and Everett, we would go and sneak out of school, and we would go and watch them work, and it was just so rewarding working with all of them.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I spent the most time with Paul and Sarah, but I think starting the shoot, I was timid and I was kind of nervous, and I knew most of my scenes would be, at least a good portion of my scenes would be with these actors, who have spent so much time doing this and who are obviously so acclaimed. But I was very timid, but they are both so fantastic and welcoming, and I think the second I stepped foot for the first time in a scene with them, it all went away, and I felt instantly like I was there and I was present and I belonged there, and I learned so much from both of them, and everyone I had scenes with. It's like you said, it's a master class. And yeah, I think it's been such an amazing opportunity to get to learn from these people. Yes, so I'll send this question to Everett and Tylee.
Both of your characters, Orson and Tess, have a habit of snooping around and usually getting into something that they probably shouldn't be doing. And I think part of this comes from this endless curiosity they have, but also from the loneliness that they're feeling. So I'm curious for the two of you how that aspect of your characters helped you unlock them as actors and kind of how the two of you connected over that.
Ooh,
Ooh,
that's a really good question.
I think like Orson, he because he had someone to look up to, and his trust was kind of betrayed by them, and I think he's trying to find someone to
Connect
to
with.
connect with, and also to look up to, who he thinks is cool,
Oh.
and yeah. And to because I think he wants to maybe prove to his family and his mom and his dad that he is worth it, because there's a conversation that makes him think that they don't want him and they don't love him, and I think he's trying to find an influence that will make him worthy, I think, of his parents.
And I think they really connected with each other, and like they didn't even have to say anything. And for Tess, she's so lonely and she doesn't have that many friends. She doesn't really know how to make friends. And I think the fact that she found someone who kind of gets her, the way that they communicate in the show is really fun, because they
Yeah.
don't have to talk to each other to understand each other. And
Mm.
all the kids in the show are really they're lonely, and they're going kind of through the same thing together. And I think it was really fun that we got to have a little something throughout the season like that.
Can't tell you what, but it's great. Some people just have very punchable faces.
The Audacity, you can find that on AMC and also streaming on AMC Plus. Thomas, any final thoughts for that before we go to the break?
Oh yeah, just I'm really glad to see Billy Magnuson continue to get leading roles like this, and I think I would love to see more feature films built around him as well. He's continued to have success on the small screen, but it would be great to see just a full like leading man vehicle for him in a studio film. So yeah, special place in my heart for him as a reel-to-reel alumni. So yeah, Billy Magnuson, it's good to see what he's doing here and the choices he continues to make as an actor.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick intermission right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Thomas Manning with us, along with me, Noel T. Manning II. We're going to come back, talk about Wasteman. And make sure you've got your trash cans out front, because we're going to be coming back to you right after this intermission.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch
Want
it?
to stay connected to everything happening at Cleveland Community College? C19's monthly show In the Loop brings you the stories, updates, and the highlights that matter most right from campus. From program spotlights and upcoming events to alumni interviews and college updates, In the Loop keeps you informed and engaged. Catch home game schedules for all CCC athletics, plus fun and meaningful conversations with the Yeti along the way. Whether you're a student, employee, alumni, or supporter of CCC, this is your inside look at life on campus. Tune in monthly on C19 and stay in the loop with Cleveland Community College.
Hi, I'm Tim Foster, your host for Bull and Bold Monthly right here on C19 TV. Get to know the coaches and student athletes of Cleveland Community College athletics on Bull and Bold. We go in depth as we discuss cross country, track and field, volleyball, baseball, men and women's basketball, and softball. Catch Bull and Bold airing on C19 TV and online at c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch
Welcome
it?
back to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here, along with Thomas Manning. And Thomas, we're going to take out the garbage right now and spend some time with the Wasteman. Tell me about this movie, buddy.
Yeah, so The Wasteman is a prison drama starring David Johnson and Tom Blythe. And these are two guys who I think have this very rare ability to be both movie stars and character actors. And I think over the course of this film, it's a tight 90 minutes, and it's obviously very claustrophobic, enclosed in this mostly this prison cell for the majority of the runtime. That's quite the one-two punch to have those guys playing off of each other. This film was directed by Cal McMowell, and Johnson's character is this guy. He's been in prison for over a decade for a crime that probably doesn't fit the sentence. He probably shouldn't be in for this long, and he's on the verge of completing his sentence and returning home, and he's hoping to reconnect with his son, who is now a teenager, who he hasn't seen since he was just a child. On the other hand, Tom Blythe's character is just this major hothead, extremely volatile. Right off the bat, anything could set him off, and he just so happens to be the cellmate of Johnson's character. So every move they make is going to impact each other. And their journeys as characters are just distinctly intertwined. And there could be chaos around any corner. And oftentimes you go maybe like, a handful of scenes stacked up against each other where it's just slowly building. It's just like one more layer here, one more layer there. And you just know that in just a few minutes is going to snap and pop, which it certainly does by the time you get to the end of the film. I think between that high-strung tension that is, just crafted over the course of this complete 90 minutes, along with those performances from Johnson and Blythe, that, take this film and elevate it from just a typical prison drama and kind of take it into something that I think will be quite memorable within that subgenre. And this film has been playing in the UK and had its theatrical run there, but now it is playing in the US as well. I'm so glad that over here on this side of the pond, we're getting a chance to see it, because I've spoken to a few people who have been telling me about it, who had seen it at various film festivals and who had seen it, overseas, and said, this is one you got to keep your eye on. And visually, it's a very interesting film because it incorporates like vertical cell phone footage, which the director talks about how that was influenced by real videos he's seen from inside prisons. Prisoners able to get their hands on cell phones and create their own little movies and documentaries within the prison itself. And then, of course, in the full cinematic mode of the film as well, which looks to be, I don't know if it was shot on film or if it was just shot on this very crisp digital that kind of has a film-like texture and quality to it. But when you're photographing interesting faces like David Johnson's and Tom Blythe's, it's like that was exactly the type of the lighting and the framing and just capturing their full range of emotions was just strikingly well done. So yeah, Wasteman was a movie that I'm certainly glad that I had a chance to check out, and I think I'm going to give this a solid B+ report card rating.
Awesome, solid B+ for the movie Wasteman, and it has been getting a lot of love, as you mentioned, Thomas, in the UK. British Independent Film Awards had, I think, 5 nominations, including Best Lead and Supporting Performance from Johnson and Blythe, Best Music Supervision, also Best Director Debut. It actually won that award at the British Independent Film Awards, and also Best Debut Screenwriter. And at the BAFTAs, it was nominated for Outstanding Debut from a Writer, Director, or a Producer. So a lot of love for this. Roger Ebert's critics also loved this as well, Thomas. One of their quotes that says, there's a spark that the film gains from these two young performers, and that is never extinguished. And it sounds like you are feeling the same way.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that statement.
Awesome, awesome. The movie is called Wasteman. Well, Thomas, we do have just a few minutes if you want to talk about The Game, the movie from 1997, David Fincher's follow-up to Seven. And I want to see if you want to give some thoughts on this, starring Michael Douglas.
Yeah, so immediately the first thing that comes to mind is I think how fascinating it is. This came out the year before The Truman Show and then just 2 years before The Matrix because they all deal with very similar themes. You know, we are the main character in our own lives, or are we? You know, perhaps we are just a pawn or a source of entertainment for someone else's. Then, you know, just the existential paranoia factor. Is all of what is happening around us actually real? And, you know, we know the experiences we're going through are meaningful to us, but what kind of meaning do those experiences have to others? You know, Michael Douglas playing this, you know, rich and influential man who has everything material, but he's missing out on the essence of really so many things that make life worth living for so many people. He's estranged from most of his family. He doesn't really have any friends. All of his relationships are transactional. So there's this opportunity that presents itself. Maybe it'll get him out of this endless cycle of just kind of unfulfilling, cold nothingness. And he's morbidly curious by this opportunity. Although I think any sensible person would, you know, they would see a few red flags in what he is offered here. And so what results is, it's something else. I haven't seen a movie. I mean, I know I mentioned Truman Show and Matrix, but I think all three of these films are quite unique in their own ways.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a film that actually started getting some interest back in early 90s, 1991. This was an original spec script that was purchased from MGM. And ultimately it bounced around. There were some different folks attached to it. And then a couple years later, it was actually given to Fincher and hoping that he would direct. And his original plan was to direct The Game prior to Seven. He had already lined up Seven. And when he got Brad Pitt connected to Seven, and from a timing standpoint, he knew, okay, if I'm going to do Seven and I want Brad Pitt, I've got to do it now. And so I think it was definitely worth the wait for this. It was a film, because it was a follow-up to Seven, didn't quite gain the momentum of what people were expecting from a Fincher film, because Seven is just so dominating. But I tell you, I think standing on its own, if you're not trying to compare it to the director, I think that there's definitely something here. It's a movie that I have loved. I have recommended to you over the years, and I'm glad you finally got a chance to check it out. I didn't mention Sean Penn plays the younger brother, who is really an estranged brother. They don't connect on a lot, but it's Sean Penn's character who says, "Hey, I've got something for you. I'm gonna give you a gift, unlike a gift you've never received before." And we've only got just 2 more minutes, but anything else you want to make sure you add about this film, The Game, for me, that still stands up all these years later?
Yeah, so since you mentioned Seven, I want to give a quick note to the cinematographer Harris Savides, who worked with Fincher 3 times on Seven, this film, The Game, and Zodiac. And in a sense, all three of these movies are about the fear of someone watching you. You know, there's some unknowable evil lurking just around the corner, something sinister closing in. And this is communicated visually in terms of, you know, the actor's relationship to the camera, whether that be Brad Pitt in Seven or Michael Douglas in this film, or Jake Gyllenhaal specifically in Zodiac. So yeah, Harris Savides, the late, the great Harris Savides, glad to his work lives on forever in films like this.
And your rating, Thomas, for 1997's The Game?
I got to give a solid A to The Game.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Solid A. I was an A in 97 when I saw it the first time, and watching it again with you, I'm like, man, this movie still holds up, and it holds up well. We appreciate you guys spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. You can always email us at info@c19.tv, and if you want to check out the full list of shows and programming on C19. Just go to that website, c19.tv, and you can find it. We appreciate you as always. And until next time, next week, I think we're going to have Douglas Davidson back because we've got another film festival he's going to spend some time with. So hopefully we'll get him on the air next week to talk about the Overlook Film Festival. Until next time, for Meet Me at the Movies and the entire cast and crew, that is a wrap.